What's up, guys? Ivan Carranza here, and today we're with Sheldon Dingwall at the Dingwall and Ormsby and Darkglass booth. And Sheldon, I've played your basses for like 9 years already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we finally got a chance to meet each other in Germany, and I'm super excited. I got a chance to meet you.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you. I'm familiar with you. I feel like a friend already, just from online. And it's super cool that in this modern age you can have friends that you've never met before on opposite sides of the planet, and realize that hey, doesn't matter what culture you come from, German, Peruvian, Canadian, Taiwanese, musicians are musicians. We all speak the same language.
Exactly. That's awesome. I wanted to ask you a few things also about the basses behind you. But, for example, I know people come to me and ask me, why do you play Dingwall basses? Like, why do I play Dingwall basses? And I know I like the feel, I like the tone.
Okay.
But for you as a builder, what are like some of the core principles, like when designing and building an instrument? What's like one of the key things?
That's a really good question. It has to generate an emotion. And preferably it generates an emotion without looking to the past, but not always. And it has to balance in every way. It has to balance visually. I like the lines to all relate to each other, almost like poetry. And by lines, I mean like the curves. The curve of the pickguard should have a poetic relationship with the curve of the arm and the. And physical balance when it hangs on a strap, and tonal balance across the strings, up and down the neck. I'm a big fan of balance. I think that's important in an instrument.
I think balance in life in general is an important thing, right?
Yeah. I live a very unbalanced life, but everything else is, I try to put it balanced too. Yeah.
Cool. And what are some of the things that you've learned over the years? Because as far as I know, Dingwall has been active for like 30 years.
Yeah, 31 now.
31. What are some of the things that you've learned in the career of building basses that like have been like key changing moments?
Well, I think probably the most important thing is how you deal with failure, rejection, negative episodes in your life. And for me, initially, doesn't matter whether it's failure or rejection or a negative episode. For me, I automatically go into a negative mindset and I feel defeated. It's like, I'm never going to be able to get out of this every single time. But if I give it a couple hours thought, maybe a couple of days thought, maybe go for a walk, invariably I figure it out. And then try and figure out how to come back better, stronger, more efficient, whatever, and that becomes the motivation. And so all of the best things that you would associate with our instruments or with our company have come from a negative consequence. So in that respect, I would just say that the biggest thing I learned is that interruptions and what seems like failure at first is actually an opportunity in disguise. It's an opportunity to be better, to challenge yourself, and I think humans need challenge. And so, yeah, I mean, if you feel like quitting, give it a minute, give it a couple of days, come back stronger. Yeah.
So it's like an opportunity to grow.
Absolutely, yeah.
And for example, what has like been the relationship between you as a builder and the customers that you have? Have you taken like their feedback and said, okay, maybe they're right in that, or maybe I should stick to what I believe in, or what can you have you taken from like their point of view, like from the people that play your basses?
We get a lot of ideas submitted to us. What I noticed in the past was that if maybe 2 or 3 people come up to me with the same idea, then that will mean that there's at least 100 people out there that will want the same thing, at least 100. And so we have our vision of what we want to do, but we're also in the business of making tools for musicians to communicate with, and so we have to be very open to what their needs are. I learned I started as a guitar builder, and because I'm a guitar player, I didn't have to listen to anybody. I just built what I thought was the perfect guitar, and of course it tanked. It was the perfect guitar for one guy, and that for me. Yeah. So with basses, I'm forced to listen to our customers because they're the experts on bass, not me, and it's a much better relationship as far as servicing them goes. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. I know some of your designs are based on sports cars.
I'm sorry?
Sports cars.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you show us like how that concept translates into the basses?
Yeah, try and be a little bit subtle with it. Haven't put any steering wheels or tires. There's nothing super obvious other than we use colors that look like they represent speed. The idea for the carbon fiber pickguard was nollies. The idea for the cuts through it was a simultaneous idea. I was playing with the idea but hadn't cut all the way through. And one of the guys at my shop, Ryan Marshall, suggested, why don't you cut all the way through? And just then my phone rang and it was Nolly saying, why don't you cut all the way through? So those ideas came from like three people simultaneously. But definitely the colors represent race cars. This is a Dodge color from the 70s. This is a Lamborghini color. And more or less the performance aspect of it. There's something about racing and automobile design that forces creativity, and it's all for a single purpose. It's how do we make this perform better, and that's our ethos for the basses. How do we make them perform better?
So the musician can just focus on making music, right?
100%. Yeah, the musician with the tips of their fingers is communicating an emotion to everyone in the audience, and especially the bass player, more so than the guitar player or singer or drummer. The bass player is the one that makes the people want to stand up and get into the music, and that's all with the tips of their fingers. So the better we can make that translation from this movement to the audience movement, the better with our instruments.
Awesome. And now talking about the new designs that we have right behind me, can you tell us about a bit this one and this one?
Okay, so new this year is the d-roc series, and it came from another very similar body shape that we'd been offering for about 4 years, and this year we decided, with some help from another company, we decided to change it, and I'll underline that we have no negative feelings towards any other company. We're totally cool with that, because it led us in a direction where we were able to give the instrument a faster look, reduce some weight with these cuts here, and also it added kind of a tuning fork effect, so the body resonates more than the original design. So really happy with the way it turned out. We worked closely with an artist named Rob Vanderloo from the band Epica on the original design, and so with the new version of it, we brought Rob in, and we decided to work with him on an artist model, and so it's got something that we've never done before. So Rob wanted an onboard distortion, and we're limited to how many knobs we could. We're limited to 4 knobs. That's it. So we worked with Dark Glass to take one of their designs and trim it down to the absolute minimum, 2 knobs.
The basics.
Just the basics. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't have high expectations for onboard distortion, but as soon as we got that circuit dialed in and started playing with it, it became a really useful musical tool that makes perfect sense now. And so we're really happy with the way it turned out. Rob hasn't had a chance to hear it in this bass yet, although we did send a prototype circuit to him, and so he has okayed it and signed off on it, and loves the tone. Yeah. So this is something new, and again, it's towards performance. It allows the musician to be free on the stage and have more tonal flavors available as fingertips, as opposed to having to run back and step on a pedal, that kind of thing.
What is like next for Dingwall? Is this model going to come in a 5-string version, for example?
Yes. Yeah. 5-string should be available in early 2020. We're using a different manufacturer for the 5-strings, just basically because we're kind of maxing out our ability to with the existing factory we're using. And we've grown quite a bit in the last few years, and our Canadian production we've used up every bit of space and all the available personnel, and we're building as fast as we can, and still not fast enough. So we're increasing the space in that building, adding more employees, more craftsmen, and then we're doing the same thing on the import side with using 2 factories instead of 1.
And what is the wait time for one of these basses?
Currently it's about 12 months, which is unheard of with an import base, but we're a small company, so.
You're getting good quality, so definitely worth the wait.
Yeah, I mean, to us, there's 2 forms of payment. There's the payment of cash that feeds our stomachs, but that's not enough. For us, our souls need to be fed as well, and the only way we can do that is if we give our customers basses that we feel extremely proud of, that they will be able to use for performances and spread our work and their work to their audiences. And to us, that's a form of payment. So there's no way that we would be happy selling the cheapest bass possible just for the money. There's no point for us. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for the interview, Sheldon.
Thank you.
Wish you the best.
Thank you.